Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. As announced earlier, this is our first episode of Being Social. Being social does not just mean uh, doing social work, but we bring in different experts of their own variety in their own fields, and the some are multitasking and multiple experts. So we will bring them up as the time goes. So for today, good evening, Ashwani Lohani ji is our first
Yeah.
guest, and Ashwani joined Indian Railway Service of Mechanical Engineers. He will tell us when. And as I had mentioned, he had been board chairman and managing director of Air India twice, chairman, managing director of ITDC, MP Tourism, MD, and many more, which we will get to know eventually. So, Ashwini, welcome with this small background. Let's start with your education and how you reached IRSME, because some of our boys and girls will be inspired by your journey, maybe. So, let's hear from you.
थैंक यू पंजी। बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है आपके प्रोग्राम में आने से। हिंदी चलती ना आपके प्रोग्राम में?
दोनों चलती है, बाइलिंगुअल।
हिंदी और इंग्लिश बोथ। तो मैंने इंटरमीडिएट किया था कानपुर से, क्राइस्टचर्च इंटर कॉलेज से, यूपी बोर्ड का इंटर 1975 में। और उस समय एक यूपीएससी का एग्जाम हुआ करता था, स्पेशल क्लास रेलवे अप्रेंटिसेस एग्जामिनेशन। तो एससीआरए एग्जामिनेशन में मैं बैठा और उसको पास किया। तो एक अप्रेंटिस के रूप में रेलवे में नियुक्ति हुई। जमालपुर जगह है जहाँ पे इंडियन रेलवे इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मैकेनिकल इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियर्स है। तो वहाँ मैं 17 साल की उम्र में ज्वाइन किया एज स्पेशल क्लास रेलवे अप्रेंटिस। उसके बाद 4 साल की अप्रेंटिसशिप, जिसमें बेसिकली आपको मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग की डिग्री पास करनी होती है। मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग हमने इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर लंदन से किया, और उसी 4 साल में इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग भी पास किया इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ इंजीनियर्स इंडिया से। उसी 4 साल में मेटलर्जिकल इंजीनियरिंग भी पास किया, और उसी 4 साल में इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स एंड टेलीकम्युनिकेशन इंजीनियरिंग भी किया। तो जब मैं 21 साल की उम्र में वहाँ से पास आउट होकर निकला एज अ क्लास 1 रेलवे ऑफिसर, तो मेरे पास एक वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड था जेब में, 4 इंजीनियरिंग डिग्रीज का। उसके बाद रेलवे की नौकरी शुरू हो गई 21 साल से। 21 साल की उम्र में इंडियन रेलवे सर्विस ऑफ मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर्स में नियुक्ति हो गई। और इंडियन रेलवे सर्विस, कई सारी सर्विसेज है, उसमें एक सर्विस ये थी, अब तो इंडियन रेलवे मैनेजमेंट सर्विस के नाम से जानी जाती है। उसके बाद जगह जगह पोस्टिंग रही। शुरुआत करी आंध्र प्रदेश से। आंध्र प्रदेश के अनंतपुर जिले में गुत्ती नाम की एक जगह में, वहाँ से शुरुआत करी। उसके बाद हैदराबाद में पोस्टिंग रही, कलकत्ता में पोस्टिंग रही, पतरातू नाम की एक जगह में पोस्टिंग रही। छोटी सी जगह है पतरातू, जहाँ डीजल शेड है, 3000 कर्मचारी थे। उसके बाद डीजल लोकोमोटिव वर्क्स वाराणसी, जीके किताब में आप लोग पढ़ते होंगे, डीजल लोकोमोटिव वर्क्स वाराणसी, वहाँ पोस्टिंग रही, हेड ऑफ इंजन प्रोडक्शन, हेड ऑफ स्पेयर्स। और उसके बाद से थोड़ा हमारा कैरियर चेंज हुआ। हमारी पोस्टिंग उसके बाद डायरेक्टर नेशनल रेल म्यूजियम न्यू दिल्ली में हुई। और नेशनल रेल म्यूजियम न्यू दिल्ली में जो पोस्टिंग हुई, उसमें उसकी खासियत ये रही कि रेलवे हेरिटेज को सेंटर स्टेज लाने का मौका मिला, और एक गिनीज वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड बनाने का भी मौका मिला। दुनिया की सबसे पुरानी ट्रेन चालू करी, फेरी क्वीन नाम से, सबसे पुराना इंजन दुनिया का जो पटरी पे चलता है, उसको चलाया दिल्ली अलवर के बीच में।
फेरी क्वीन।
फेरी क्वीन, हॉलिंग ए टूरिस्ट ट्रेन। और उसने एक 17-18 अक्टूबर 1997 को जो पहली ट्रिप थी उसमें गिनीज वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड दर्ज हुआ, और गिनीज वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड की प्राप्ति हुई। वहाँ से फिर हमारी जो करियर था वो फिर से टेंजेंट में निकला। उसके बाद मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ टूरिज्म में डिप्यूटेशन पे सिलेक्ट किए गए, और 5 साल मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ टूरिज्म में रहे। उस 5 साल मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ टूरिज्म में रहने में हमको एक बार बीच में चेयरमैन इंडिया टूरिज्म डेवलपमेंट कॉरपोरेशन बनाया गया, क्योंकि आईटीडीसी के होटलों की हालत बुरी थी, घाटे में चल रहे थे बहुत ज़्यादा। तो आईटीडीसी का सीएमडी बनाया गया। यंगेस्ट हिंदुस्तान में पीएसयूज का यंगेस्ट चेयरमैन होने का मौका प्राप्त हुआ। और बस वो टेन्योर 1.5 साल का रहा, उसके बाद वापस रेलवे में आ गए। कुछ वजहें थी जिसकी वजह से रेलवे वापस आना पड़ा, और 1.5 साल रेलवे में नौकरी करी फिर से। और उसके बाद मध्य प्रदेश सरकार ने हमको बुला लिया एज एमडी मध्य प्रदेश टूरिज्म। तो हिंदुस्तान का दिल हिंदुस्तान के सामने पेश करने का मौका मिला।
आई नो, वो टैग लाइन भी तुम्हारी ही है।
हाँ,
दिल हिंदुस्तान का बनाई हुई।
हिंदुस्तान का दिल। तो हिंदुस्तान का दिल हिंदुस्तान के सामने पेश करने का मौका मिला। और हम लोग, मैं मध्य प्रदेश राज्य 3 बार गया। पहली बार एज एमडी टूरिज्म, दूसरी बार एज एमडी टूरिज्म कम कमिश्नर टूरिज्म, तीसरी बार फिर से एज एमडी टूरिज्म कम कमिश्नर टूरिज्म। और तीनों बार जो वहाँ मुख्यमंत्री रहे उन्होंने पर्सनल इंटरेस्ट लेके लिया, जिससे कि सब रूल्स के विरुद्ध मुझे 3 बार डेपुटेशन मिल सके। और उस बीच मध्य प्रदेश को पर्यटन के क्षेत्र में नंबर 1 राज्य बनाने का मौका मिला। नंबर 1 राज्य टूरिज्म के क्षेत्र में नेशनल टूरिज्म अवार्ड मध्य प्रदेश को प्राप्त हुआ, और उसके बाद से लगातार प्राप्त हो रहा है। तो 3 बार मध्य प्रदेश टूरिज्म के हेड बने, बहुत ही बढ़िया टेन्योर था। उसके बाद तीसरा जो मेरा टेन्योर था मध्य प्रदेश टूरिज्म का, उसमें मुझे 6 महीने 7 महीने टेन्योर करने का मौका मिला, क्योंकि 7 महीने बाद ही भारत सरकार ने मुझे एज चेयरमैन एंड मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर एयर इंडिया बनाया। अगस्त 2015 में चेयरमैन मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर एयर इंडिया बने। और उस टेन्योर की बात भी करूंगा, वो एक बहुत ही चैलेंजिंग टेन्योर था। 2 साल रहे चेयरमैन मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर एयर इंडिया। और उसके बाद रेलवे में कई सारे एक्सीडेंट हो गए थे 2017 में। कई सारे मेजर एक्सीडेंट्स हुए थे जिसमें कईयों की डेथ हुई थी। फिर से भारत सरकार ने मुझे एयर इंडिया से हटाते हुए चेयरमैन रेलवे बोर्ड बनाया। तो वर्ल्ड की सबसे बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन भारतीय रेल, जिसमें 14 लाख कर्मचारी हैं, उसको हेड करने का मौका मिला। तो एक्सीडेंट्स पकड़े, रोक लिए 3 महीने में। उसके बाद रेलवे कई तरह की चीज़ें करी, कई नई तरह की चीज़ें करी। और फिर रेलवे बोर्ड से रिटायर हुए दिसंबर 2018 में। और उसके बाद 31 दिसंबर 2018 को रिटायर हुए। और उसके बाद फिर से फरवरी 2019 में फिर से भारत सरकार ने मुझे चेयरमैन एयर इंडिया बनाया। तो उसके बाद 1 साल करीब चेयरमैन एयर इंडिया रहे। उसके बाद कोविड आ गया, एयर इंडिया के टेन्योर को मैंने वहीं ख़त्म किया। और फिर कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर में कुछ टाइम नौकरी करी, भी वहीं करता हूँ। तो ये मेरा ब्रीफ में इंट्रोडक्शन है रिगार्डिंग माय करियर, क्या पोस्टिंग्स रही। बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग रहा जो भी रहा, उसको
थैंक यू।
आप लोग
यस,
से लाएगा।
थैंक यू, थैंक यू। ये बहुत सारी इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ें अभी मैं आपसे अनुरोध करूंगा कि लोगों को बताएं, और बीच में थोड़ा अंग्रेजी बोले कि हमारा ऑडियंस ग्लोबल भी है, हो सकता है तो दे शुड आल्सो हियर यू। You see, a lot of people talk about public sector enterprises like Air India or ITDC, which have been used, I know, everyone knows that, as milching cows by different people, and running them successfully is a big challenge for anybody. It had been all through, and different people came, and there were a lot of political interventions as well. Sometimes we know that the Karib Jet deal broke the backbone of Air India, and later, when Air India and Indian Airlines started making profit individually, somebody decided to merge them, and that merger had their own costs. So you may have gone through some of these. So how exactly did you deal with these things? And both in ITDC as well as Air India, we'd like to know. And I remember your comments in the social media, which we never discussed. Once you had mentioned that one of the biggest stumbling block in Indian system, public system, is audit and CVC, because there, if you are compliant to them, there is a it prohibits performance of most people, of course, not yours. So let's hear something about those.
You see, but the public sector has its tremendous strengths. It has it's very strong public sector. Excellent systems are there, excellent decision making processes are there. The problem happens only when some people in the system abdicate their responsibility. A lot of wrong things are spoken about the public sector. Okay, there is political interference, people are not allowed to work. But this happens only when the chief executive abdicates his responsibility. Otherwise, if the chief executive wants, nothing can go wrong in the public sector. One has to learn to put his or her foot down over wrong things. And then, because see, I have handled two public sectors in the center and one in the state. And my mission was that the public sector should be able to perform better than the private sector in every city wherever it's located. It was possible. It was possible. It was possible to for Ashoka Hotel in Delhi to post a 70% growth in revenues post 9/11 and beat the entire other private sector hotel chains in performance. It was possible to do that. It was possible for Madhya Pradesh tourism, every single property of Madhya Pradesh tourism, to post better financial results than the best private sector property in the town. It was possible. It was possible to post growth rates of 30 to 40% year on year. Everything is possible. The systems allow you to do that. But the thing is, that you have to be sincere. You have to be totally honest. You have to have courage. That is not much to ask for, because that is how officers should be. That is how the entire tantra should be. तो यही है मेरा कहना कि पब्लिक सेक्टर में स्ट्रेंथ बहुत ज़्यादा है. ये जो बातें होती हैं कि पॉलिटिकल इंटरफेरेंस है, ये है, वो है, ये आप चीफ एग्जीक्यूटिव को आज की तारीख में भी सीएमडी को बहुत अथॉरिटी दी हुई है सरकार ने. अगर वो अथॉरिटी को एक्सरसाइज करता है, मिसयूज नहीं करता है, थोड़ा दम रहता है, तो ही कैन प्रिवेंट एनी रॉन्ग डूइंग फ्रॉम हैपनिंग. Continuing in the same vein, it was possible for a sick organization like Air India to start almost 20 new international flights, which no airline in the world could do in just a 2 to 3 years period. We defied the existing norms of starting new international flights. We changed the norms, and we used to start international flights like we started domestic flights with that little margin, with that little notice, and every single flight was successful. It all depends on how you handle the organization. The shades of ownership make a difference, but not much. It is how the management is handling the organization. It depends on that. Yeah, and you. I can come back to specifics also. You talked about the merger of Air India and Indian Airlines. See, organizations have to be run by the chief executive. It can't be run by anybody else. But quite often, what happens is that we are very much dependent on consultants. whether I'm audible right now or not. हाँ पंजी, तो क्या हुआ
Sorry,
कि दो दो एयरलाइंस चल रही थी अच्छी खासी। तो किसी कंसल्टेंट की रिपोर्ट के बेसिस में, जिसमें अक्सर सिनर्जी वर्ड की बहुत बात होती है, ये करेंगे तो सिनर्जी हो जाएगी। जस्ट फॉर द दैट वर्ड इज फ्लॉग्ड लेफ्ट राइट एंड सेंटर. Two perfectly good running organizations were merged without understanding what a merger entails. Mergers are complex exercises. They require a very, very solid management, because you're talking about merger of culture, you're talking about merger of pay scale, you're talking about merger of cadres, equating posts, wherein individuals are impacted. Wherever human beings are impacted, it becomes a very, very sensitive matter. This person perhaps was not looked at while merging. फिर सोने पे सुहागा तब हुआ when immediately after the merger, they decided to buy aeroplanes. They decided to buy 100 aeroplanes. It was not a bad decision. Nothing wrong about buying aeroplanes, but you can't have an airline take a debt and buy airplanes, because airline business is a very, very sensitive business. In this, you can't be apportioning the cost.
problem of connectivity.
हाँ, कनेक्टिविटी का इशू है
We
मेजर.
see. I'm sorry, we had some network issue for some time. Probably both of us were missing from the scene. So we are talking about, yes, synergy and merger of Air India and
तो
Indian
मर्जर किया
Airlines.
और उसी समय जहाज खरीद लिए 100 जहाज खरीद लिए उधार लेकर, आफ्टर टेकिंग अ डेट. So it was a double problem, things which happened. Two things happened simultaneously. And the airline started going into a loss, the merged airline. पहले साल 400 करोड़ का लॉस हुआ, then the loss increased. It went up to 7,000-8,000 crores in a year. And the organization was in losses for 10 years. How can an organization be in loss for 10 years? Why can't we wake up? We have to wake up within a year or within 2 years maximum. It can't be in losses for 10 years. And in 10 years, they piled up 50,000 crores, and then I entered on the scene. In 2015-16, we posted the first time operational profit for Air India, merged. It was a very, very tough task. 15-16 and 16-17 were the only 2 years in the history of combined Air India wherein we had an operational profit, but I knew it is impossible to handle a debt of 50,000 crores. 50,000 crores debt means a debt servicing cost of around 6,000 crores a year. And even I knew कि even if I become the best airline in the world, I can't be handling that kind of debt. So it was, but the thing is, कि, yes, the airline was also exploited in time at times. People took advantage of that. But the point is, if the CMD wants, he can put a stop to all that. The chief executive wants. He has to put his foot down. That is what people don't do because they don't have the courage. How can I say if the organization under me will be exploited by others? How can I permit that? I should better quit my job rather than permitting that. And you need not, it doesn't come to that stage. People understand and then they leave it alone. The organizations have to be handled with a lot of integrity. Not a lot of integrity, but with absolute integrity. That is important. I can't have lack of integrity, then I expect the organization to run in a good way. It is not possible. So, well, organizations suffer from this primarily because of lapses in the top management. That is what I'll say.
Well, we have heard contradictory things about you, that you being hyperactive CEO of ITDC Air India, working odd hours and making others work, and yet people revere you. They say, very nice gentleman. We never had any such CMD, and the outreaching and communicating and seeking advice from everybody, and being a role model. So in public system, normally, those who work very hard, they are not very liked. So how you meet this contradiction?
See, I basically believe that the topmost strategy for running an organization has to be based on human resource. The second strategy for running a organization should be human resource. And the third strategy also should be human resource. Then come other strategies. Now, what generally managements do? They don't look at the human resource. They talk about plans. They talk about vision. They talk about financing. They talk about strategies. They talk about all high good sounding words like synergy, stakeholders, PowerPoint presentations. They're busy in all that. And they're not bothered about the guy who sits outside the room on a stool. They don't bother about the staff. And it is staff only, it is the men only. Men, by when I say men, I mean men and women both. It is the men only who take organization to the skies or we pull it down to the ground. That is what happened with Air India. We never bothered about the men. We merged it because somebody told us to do it without caring how it is going to impact our men. So that has been the biggest learning of my life. When I became chairman Indian Railways, I decided to meet the entire lot of railwaymen every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I used to go out.
Yes, in total quality management, they say internal customer satisfaction is prime. So
इंटरनल
something
कस्टमर
that you
को
have practiced,
नहीं
what we
मानना
read, you practiced.
बट जी उनको इंटरनल कस्टमर नहीं मानना चाहिए वो बड़े हाई साउंडिंग वर्ड्स हैं उनको इंसान मानना चाहिए इंसानों को इंसान की तरह ट्रीट करो एंड देन दे विल डू एनीथिंग वॉट एवर यू वांट दे विल डू इट यू आर अगेन हेल्ड अप इट लुक्स लाइक
Sorry, we lost the signal again. Yes, I was mentioning that this is what they call total quality management, guys. Internal customer satisfaction. What you were saying, what we
इंटरनल
rarely
कस्टमर
do.
मानना इनको इंटरनल कस्टमर मानना ही गलत है, वो गलत वर्ड है टू ट्रीट माय स्टाफ एज कस्टमर्स. दे आर ह्यूमन बीइंग्स, दे डिजर्व टू बी ट्रीटेड एज ह्यूमन बीइंग्स. If I treat them as pure human beings with a lot of love, which I expect from others, they will do whatever I want them to do, provided it's the right thing to be done. So yes, it's very simple. Running organization is very simple because when I joined ITDC, I didn't know the H of hotels. And when I joined Air India, I didn't know the A of airlines. I knew nothing. I only knew that my staff will do it. I have to set a target, treat them with empathy, not treat them with empathy. It has to be actually my natural way of living, that you treat human beings as human beings. You treat others as you expect yourself to be treated by others. It is just that simple. There no management strategies, no management philosophies are applicable. बिल्कुल सरल तरीके से मैं आपको बताऊं. When I joined Indian Railways, not joined Indian Railways, when I was brought in as the chairman of Indian Railways in 2017, there were a lot of accidents. 4 or 5 major accidents had taken place. So my job was, immediate job on hand was to stop those accidents from happening. How do you do it on a 65,000 kilometers of track with 4 lakh wagons and 70,000 coaches? On such a massive system, 7,000 stations, how do you stop accidents? I realized that there is nothing technical about the accidents from happening. My men had to stop the accidents. They were human failures. They were human failures, and the human failures were because we are not treating human beings like my staff like human beings. Number one was we told them what the priority is. Priority is safety. That is what I told them. But again, I explained the meaning of the word priority. मैंने कहा प्रायोरिटी का मतलब ये होता है कि जो चीज़ प्रायोरिटी 1 है उसके लिए प्रायोरिटी 2 सेक्रीफाइस करी जा सकती है. तो सेफ्टी है प्रायोरिटी 1, तो सेफ्टी इंश्योर करने के लिए आप ऑपरेशंस को सेक्रीफाइस कर सकते हो. ये खुली छूट मैं देता हूँ पूरे भारतीय रेल को, सब लोगों को. दूसरा काम किया कि पूरे स्टाफ को, कंसर्न लोगों को बुलाया और उनको बैठ के बताया डायरेक्टली. आई मीट माई मैन. आई मस्ट हैव शेकन हैंड्स with a million railwaymen. Everybody wants to know who the boss is. Everybody wants to be able to visualize the boss. Everybody wants to know what the boss wants. Now the boss has to tell their staff what he wants. I can't leave it to their imagination what I want. I should tell them. पहले दिन जब ज्वाइन किया तो उस दिन बुकेज बंद किए, उसी दिन गिफ्ट्स बंद किए, उसी दिन प्रोटोकॉल्स बंद किए, क्योंकि मुझे अपने स्टाफ को बताना था कि चोंचले इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, काम इंपॉर्टेंट है. मुझे खुश करना चाहते हो, काम करो, वर्क एंड डिलीवर. Don't deal in frills. But that has to be told. We don't tell them. I had this piece of paper, these 3 things: no bouquets, no gifts, no protocols, written on a piece of paper and pasted outside my main door of the chairman's office. It was there for everyone to see. This is what I want and this is what I don't want. So, well, the same stuff I've seen when I became the chairman of ITDC. People told me the staff of Ashoka is very corrupt, very bad. It's the same staff who gave a 70% growth rate. When I went to Madhya Pradesh, people told me कि सब बिल्कुल बर्बाद है मध्य प्रदेश टूरिज्म के लोग, ना काम करते हैं, चोरी करते हैं, कुछ नहीं करते. उन्हीं स्टाफ ने मध्य प्रदेश टूरिज्म को पलटा और उन्हीं स्टाफ ने एयर इंडिया में पलटा. सेम पायलट्स जो स्ट्राइक पे जाते थे, उन्होंने स्ट्राइक की बात करना बंद कर दिया. सेम पायलट्स जान लगा के काम करना शुरू किया. The same. Now, where does the problem lie? Problem lies with the top management. Nobody else. It is the top management which comes forward to take the credit when something good happens. Doesn't come forward to take the blame if the organization is not doing well. Organization doing well or organization not doing well is a symptom of how the top management is. Well, I have experience mainly in the public sector, and this is what my experience, the crux of my experience is.
I was about to ask you the other part. You said mainly my experience. Now that you are the CEO of a private sector organization as well, so how different are the management practices and
You see,
how difficult or
I don't want to talk about my current organization. There is a
okay,
policy which I always follow. Yeah.
okay,
The thing is,
okay,
ki
that's okay.
organization are you have you are basically handling three M's: men, materials and machines, and money. You have a defined time frame and you have a desired objective. There are basically five variables. Every organization, whether it's a Sarkari organization or a private organization, has these five variables. Only the quantum of each variable may matter, may make a difference, may be different.
Okay.
But basically, it's the same. Three M's, handling the three M's in a defined time frame to achieve the desired objective. But one thing is absolutely common. The human resource is equally important in the private sector and equally important in the public sector. It's the human resource which makes or mars organizations.
Let's hear something about your new avatar as an author. You have written a few books now, and they are very well taken by the people. So, what are those books? Can you tell us something about those?
The first book which I wrote was called Smoking Beauties. It was inspired by my love for smoking beauties, that means steam locomotives. Steam engines used to run on the railway systems earlier. Later on, diesel locomotives came and electric locomotives came. But steam locomotive came first, and then the railway system in the world came around the steam engine. So I fell in love with steam engines, and that is how I ran the Ferry Queen Express, revived world's oldest steam engine. So the first book was on smoking beauties, coffee table book on steam locomotives of India and the world. This book was released in 2004. It was a book fueled by passion and love for steam engines. The second book was titled Winning at Work Against All Odds. It contained my experiences till 2006. That means it contained my experiences as Director of Rail Museum, Ministry of Tourism, Chairman of ITDC, and the first tenure at Madhya Pradesh Tourism. This talked about basically fundamentals, no management jargon in this. It was no theories, just my experiences, how I came across scenarios, what was done to solve that scenario and emerge successful. It was a very plain and simple book, but generally liked. Then I wrote a book called Heart Over Mind. It was released last year, 2024, February at the Jaipur Literature Festival. And it covered up to my second tenure in Air India, my tenure as the chairman of the Indian Railways, my three tenures in Madhya. It almost covered everything. But again, it was a book. Basically, it was nothing theoretical about the book. There was nothing bookish about the book as such. It was just a collection of me talking about my experiences. Why do I talk about my experiences? I talk about my experiences not it's not basically to show off. It's because I've been lucky enough, I've been blessed to be made to handle so many large organizations in my life. And I feel the experience has to be shared. Because this is unique. Somebody becomes the chairman of an organization, spends his full time in that organization. He may be heading that organization as the chairman ultimately. But I headed Indian Railways, I headed Air India, I headed the biggest hotel corporation in the country. I headed tourism for a state on three occasions. I headed tourism as chairman and honorable minister of tourism for the state of Andhra Pradesh also once. So the experience has been unique and therefore it has to be shared and therefore these books. That is the sole purpose of these books. So the last book is Heart Over Mind because I've always believed in the supremacy of the heart over the supremacy of the head. One one has to learn to work from the heart.
Sorry, I changed the internet connection. It went off again. Yes, we are talking about the books. Now we have discussed a lot of things, your books, your experiences, and I know I remember uh, that pick the poster in your rooms. I can, I do. These two things written inspire you all the time and inspire others. So, other than work, what are your hobbies?
My hobby was steam engines. That was my hobby. That was my passion. That was something I did other than work. Ran a society called Indian Steam Railway Society for a couple of almost 2 decades. I've become inactive only recently. And but basically it was work because work was my hobby. Work was my play. I worked 6.5 days all my life. Half day on a Saturday, on a Sunday, and 6 days, including Saturdays, full working because it was never a day's work really. It was all fun. So when you are having fun in the office, you don't require a hobby or anything else. So that is how. And when I woke up, I found I retired. It went like
Sometimes,
a.
sometimes when the you don't have hobbies, the other half says that hobby is not giving time to us, having other hobbies, only giving to work. So how do you handle that front?
She got trained in that way right from the beginning. She did. She did realize that there can be a other side of the life also. So that is the life she's in, and she has been a tremendous support because without her support, I could not have done those 6.5 days, and I could not have taken a lot of major decisions because they require support from the family. But I have seen bad patches also. I was sacked from ITDC. I've had my own share of fights and major setbacks. At that time, the role of the family becomes very important, and that is what my wife has also been providing me. That kind of support which one requires.
So three
So,
cheers from for Anuji from this forum also. And on the younger generation side, your lovely daughters, they have become entrepreneurs of different types, and they have chosen a different fitness path or making people fit. So, can you tell us something about them?
I can't tell you much because I never interfered in my daughter's life, whether even when they were a student. I never knew what are their subjects and what are their marks because I was so busy working myself. But yes, they have both the daughters have come together to create a startup dealing with health and fitness. They are into fitness events right now. They are digressing into some sporting events also. And well, this these times, the present times, the children find their own path, and I think we have to only encourage them and motivate them, keep them. Just say, "Ki, yes, we are there at your back, covering your back. We are there to support you." They'll find their own path. So they're doing reasonably well, and there's a long way to go. And
Yes,
they are.
I yeah, I forgot uh, to ask you, and you also forgot to mention some of those things which you were instrumental for. And I remember direct flight to San Francisco, all women flight Air India in your second tenure. I read through newspapers. I think it was your time. Then getting World Heritage
हाँ,
enlistment to certain things. So let us complete the task of educating others. What all you did?
एक्चुअली मैंने रियलाइज कि मतलब अचीव करने का कोई इंतहा नहीं होती उसकी. यू कैन कीप ऑन डूइंग इट बट यू हैव टू बी एट इट. यू हैव टू एंजॉय वर्क. आइदर लव व्हाट यू डू और डू व्हाट यू लव. बट आप में और काम के बीच में मोहब्बत होनी चाहिए. देन अचीविंग एनीथिंग इज इम्पॉसिबल. इज anything, achieving anything is possible. I filed a Guinness World Record 7 times in my life. Made two world records. Finally certified. But there were 7 attempts at 7 different things to file Guinness World Record. Like one for Fairy Queen, world's oldest engine. Second was for my engineering qualifications, 4 engineering degrees. With the Guinness said, yes, we compliment you. But the problem is that we don't certify educational qualifications. So I didn't get a formal Guinness, but I got a Limca. Then technology for Red Fort, tourist guidance technology which we developed. Then remote presence technology which we implemented on Qutub Minar. Then Shane Bhopal, the world's first broad gauge rail coach restaurant. My aim in life was to set 3 Guinness World Records. I failed. And the second aim was to be responsible for 3 World Heritage sites. I did Darjeeling Himalayan Railway, World Heritage Site, wrote the application myself, went through UNESCO like a shot, got it. But then I thought people will think he's a railwayman. That is why he has done Darjeeling Himalayan Railway. Therefore, I took up another site, the Mahabodhi Temple at Bodh Gaya. बुद्धिज्म पढ़ना पड़ा. बोध गया के चक्कर लगाने पड़े. उनकी म्यूनिसपैलिटी में मेयर वगैरह से स्टाफ से लोगों से इंटरेक्ट करना पड़ा. काफ़ी पापड़ बेलने पड़े और महाबोधि टेम्पल बोध गया भी वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज हो गया. तो these 2 sites I could pilot, write application myself, and get them encrypted as World Heritage Sites for India. The fantastic major achievements. But the target was three sites in my lifetime. I failed there also. Good only 2 sites. But then I realized it is possible to do anything. Ashoka Hotel 9/11 happened. The entire tourism sector in the world collapsed. The hospitality sector collapsed. The turnover of hotels came down. The profits converted into losses. And that is the time when I was heading ITDC. And we decided to post a 70% growth rate in revenues in the year 2002-2003, defying all odds when the revenues were supposed to go down by 25%. And I think we achieved about 65%, 66% growth rate. And the worst ever year and the best ever year in the history of Hotel Ashok were adjoining years. We proved the theory of disinvestment wrong. And I was moved out. Attack.
Yes. And you are very modest about mentioning about your other achievements, which I know of. You have been you were given the status of a minister for being the advisor of tourism in 2 states, Andhra Pradesh and Uttarakhand, if I am right. Is that
Andhra
so?
Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, yes.
Uttarakhand also?
Uttarakhand, I was advisor to CM, but not minister status was not there.
Okay. So, uh, briefly, maybe if you have time, uh, how tourism can touch the life of everyone. I mean, so far we have been hearing this at all forums, but it's not all pervasive. There are tourism elites, there are tourism business people, and the common people get left over. On the name, they say some ancillary things or providing services or selling some small goods or handicrafts sometimes. So how what is your thought
My thought
briefly?
is, my thought is, tourism means हिंदी में इसको कॉल इट पर्यटन. पर्यटन इंसानी फितरत है. It is a natural thing for a human being to go around and look at other places. Something very natural. What we in the government have to do, we have to only facilitate it, not interfere with it. We have to make it happen. And that is how I looked at my role in the tourism sector. If I provide the right kind of environment and the right kind of facilities and the right kind of infrastructure, tourism will grow on its own. While in Bhopal, I realized the people of Bhopal had not seen Bhimbetka, only 20 kilometers from Bhopal, a World Heritage Site, and it has thousands of year old rock paintings. No, we made a restaurant at Bhimbetka. We improved the road from Bhimbetka to the caves, from the main road from the highway to the caves, provided guide services there, provided signages there, and people started going there. The tourism, yes, the only thing which we have to do is we have to provide basics. Now, one of the basics is signages. What I did in MP was we plastered the entire state with signages. Signages on the highways, signages on the state roads, signages on village roads, signages, interpretation boards outside tourist places. We plastered the entire, you could not go anywhere in the state without coming across a Madhya Pradesh tourism signage. It tells you ki Sachi is 50 kilometers, Maheshwar is 70 kilometers. All that played a very, very major role. Well, tourism is something, it's a very, very simple thing. It's a very simple thing, but basic fundamental steps have to be taken. Not like those steps which we took for reviving Air India, merger and synergy. Not those. Very simple steps have to be taken. That is what we did in MP. We did a beautiful campaign which encouraged people to go and explore Madhya Pradesh. We put signages all over. We put interpretation boards all over. We got tourist police, nakas, beautiful, friendly, friendly चौकीज हमने उनकी बनवाई, उनको जगह जगह लगाया. साइट सीइंग बसेस भी इंट्रोड्यूस्ड. टूरिस्ट टूरिस्ट इंटरप्रिटेशन के लिए, if you go to a tourist place, there is a tremendous lack of interpretation. We use technology for interpretation. We used to organize. We created a bus for publicity and promotion. That our bus used to go all over the state in various RWAs. It used to go inside, start showing film on tourist destinations of Madhya Pradesh. All these basic things we did. But the most important thing which we did was the entire staff of Madhya Pradesh tourism was totally charged up. If they were not charged up, nothing would have happened. कोई तरीका नहीं है. उनमें इतनी जान थी स्टाफ में कि वो छाती सीना चौड़ा करके चलते थे. कहते थे कि हमको मध्य प्रदेश में गर्व है. And they gave me results which were stupendous, like a small dhaba in Bhopal in the road called Dodi Ka Dhaba. The revenue increased from 2,500 rupees a day to 2.5 lakhs a day. 2.5 लाख रुपए रोज की 2009 की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं, एक ढाबे में जो भोपाल इंदौर रोड पे है, नॉट इन दिल्ली, नॉट इन दिल्ली चंडीगढ़, नॉट इन दिल्ली देहरादून. It is a massive figure. And the same guy who was running the dhaba when it was giving 2,500 rupees took the dhaba to the skies. That is what happened at each and every single place in Madhya Pradesh tourism. Because we care about our staff, we cared about our staff from the heart, दिल से. और उनका we took care of their back, all the courage and might which is required to do that. Nobody can touch my staff. If one day a collector came and forcibly um, I had meals in my one of my restaurants. No, not acceptable. Either that man goes or I go back to railways. We took care of our staff. We took care of our men. And they took the state forward. They took the tourism in the state forward. That is required even in place like Uttarakhand. The machinery is the Vikas Nigams, the tourism board. The staff of the tourism boards and the tourism corporations have to be totally charged up with a dream, with a vision, with the energy for making the state number one. Everything else is secondary. बाकी सब पता चल जाएगा क्या करना है करने वाले में जान आ जाए पहले
Yes, sure. So, motivation and a role model from the top is very.
मोटिवेशन भी इसलिए नहीं करना चाहिए कि मोटिवेटेड स्टाफ मोटिवेटेड आदमी बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छा काम करेगा इसलिए नहीं वो भी एक सेल्फिश फीलिंग है द एनवायरनमेंट शुड बी सच दैट कि a person is charged up on his own person is motivated on his own
Self-motivated.
how you create an environment like that because motivation for the sake of motivation is a selfish exercise.
Hmm. So thank you for all those enlightening comments to our viewers. Um, I know you're a busy man, so we don't want to take much of your time. Towards the end, this is our first episode. Do you think that having this kind of gupshup, this chat show, is worth it? We'll have more, of course, people from different areas, including fitness, including mental health, including some of those engineering, social things. Nothing political, of course. So far, that's our thing. So, what do you think about a program like this?
Yeah, I think it's a good program to have because people will know about a lot of things which they're not aware of. It's always good, but it has to be basically sharing of experiences. It has to be based on that sharing of experiences because theory anybody can talk about theory. Theoretical things can be granted, but that they don't help.
That's what we did.
It has to be focused on sharing of experience. That is how we did it today.
Okay. So thank you very much, Ashwini, and
Thank
you
you.
spared your
Thank
time, and you always ready to help our initiative always. So we thank you for that, and we expect you to come maybe after a couple of years again with us. And I've already told Ankur, your daughter, the fitness expert, that one day thou shall be my guest after a few months. And yes, we'll. Why I'm saying is that we're not just targeting the people of expertise in government or at the top level. So youngsters and the common man also at times we will try and bring in here so that whoever is coming live is fine. Whoever is not, they can view in our channel. We can share elsewhere also. So thank you very much once again, and good
Thank you,
evening.
Panji. Thank you. Good night.
Right.